I stood in our kitchen, frozen, as Jordan's cheerful whistling drifted down from upstairs. The tune was unmistakable, that saccharine melody from Wonderworld theme park's anniversary celebration. The same park he claimed to despise. The same celebration he'd missed due to his critical business meeting in Seattle last month. My name is Paisley, and I've spent the last 3 months living in my in-laws' oversized Victorian house, surrounded by judgmental stares and passive-aggressive comments about everything from my career choices to the way I load the dishwasher. But right now, that stupid theme park jingle was drowning out everything else. Morning, sweetheart. Jordan bounded down the stairs, his hair still wet from the shower. He kissed my cheek, leaving a damp spot that made my skin crawl. You're up early. Catchy tune, I said, stirring my coffee with mechanical precision. Where'd you pick that up? His movement stuttered for just a fraction of a second as he reached for the coffee pot. Oh, probably from a commercial or something. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my social media feed while he rattled on about his upcoming business trip. There it was, 3 weeks ago, buried in my timeline. A photo of Wonderworld's grand anniversary celebration, complete with fireworks and that damn song playing on repeat for 12 hours straight. Mother wants us to join them for dinner tonight, Jordan said, adjusting his tie in the reflection of the microwave. She's making her famous pot roast. The one she knows I can't eat because of my allergies. I took another sip of coffee. How thoughtful. Paisley, please, she's trying. Is she, like you're trying to remember where you heard that song? His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something in his expression shifted. Listen, I need to head out early. Big presentation today. I watched him gather his things, noticed how he angled his phone away as he typed out a response. Break a leg, I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. The moment the front door closed, I was on my laptop. It took less than 5 minutes to find the post, a photo of Jordan at Wonderworld, his arm around a gorgeous blonde. The caption read, Best weekend ever with my love. Yard Wonderworld, Najgar anniversary, nature blessed, posted by Chloe Wilson. My mother-in-law's heels clicked against the hardwood floors. Paisley, dear, you really should dress before noon. It sets a poor example. I closed the laptop, fighting the urge to throw it across the room. Sorry, Lorraine. I was just checking some work emails. She pursed her lips. Well, I hope you'll make an effort for dinner tonight. Harold's bringing his golf partner and his wife. Actually, I'm not feeling well. Maybe another time. Jordan already confirmed you'd both be there. Her tone left no room for argument. 6 o'clock sharp. As she clip-clopped away, I reopened the laptop. Chloe Wilson's profile was public, filled with photos of her and Jordan at restaurants, parks, movies. Places he'd been too busy to take me. Their relationship timeline matched perfectly with his increased business trips. My phone lit up with a text from Jordan. Running late tonight? Meet you at dinner? I typed back okay and set the phone down. The coffee had gone cold, but I barely noticed as I kept scrolling through their documented romance. 3 months of lies, all while I lived under his parents' roof, enduring their constant criticism and helpful suggestions about how to be a better wife. The Wonderworld song was stuck in my head now, a mocking soundtrack to my unraveling marriage. But as I stared at photo after photo of my husband's secret life, something else began to take shape, a plan that would make them all pay for treating me like a fool. I closed the laptop and headed upstairs to get dressed. After all, I had a dinner party to prepare for. The dining room felt like a courtroom, with Lorraine presiding as judge from her end of the polished mahogany table. Every clink of silverware echoed like a gavel, punctuating another silent indictment. Paisley, dear. Lorraine's voice dripped honey-coated venom. You barely touched your pot roast. I made it especially for tonight. I pushed the allergen-laden meat around my plate. It looks lovely, but you know I'm allergic to mushrooms. Oh, that's right. She widened her eyes in mock surprise. I completely forgot. Again. Harold's golf partner, Dr. Matthews, cleared his throat. Speaking of allergies, my practice has seen remarkable success with experimental treatments. Paisley's just particular about food, Jordan cut in, not looking up from his phone. Always has been. I gripped my wine glass tighter. Actually, I was hospitalized twice for mushroom exposure. But please continue discussing my medical history over dinner. Lorraine's perfectly penciled eyebrows arched. There's no need for that tone, dear. We're all family here. Family. Right. The same family that watched me struggle with boxes when we moved in, commenting on my peculiar organization system instead of helping. The same family that knew about Jordan's business trips and said nothing. Jordan, I said, setting down my fork. Speaking of family, when were you planning to tell everyone about the transfer? His head snapped up from his phone. What transfer? The one you mentioned last week, to the Seattle office? The lie rolled off my tongue, smooth as silk. You seemed so excited about it. Color drained from his face. That's not. Seattle? Lorraine's voice sharpened. Jordan, you never mentioned. Because there is no transfer, he said quickly. Paisley must have misunderstood. Must have, I agreed, taking another sip of wine. Just like I must have misunderstood about Wonderworld. The room went deadly quiet. Harold's wife, Margaret, suddenly became very interested in her napkin. Wonderworld, Dr. Matthews asked. Isn't that where your new girlfriend works, Jordan? The blonde one? The sound of Lorraine's fork clattering against her plate was almost musical. I don't know what you're talking about, Jordan said, but his voice had gone up half an octave. Dr. Matthews frowned. But I saw you there last month during the anniversary celebration. You were with that young lady. What was her name? Chloe. That's impossible, Lorraine interrupted. Jordan was in Seattle that weekend, on business. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Funny how Seattle keeps coming up, isn't it? Almost as funny as that Wonderworld song you were whistling this morning, Jordan. The one from the anniversary celebration you missed. Paisley, Harold's voice carried a warning. This isn't the time or place. When is the time, Harold? When Jordan's finished playing house with his girlfriend? When Lorraine's done pretending she doesn't know about it? Or maybe when you're done covering for him at the country club? Jordan's phone buzzed. The preview message flashed across his screen. Miss you already, baby. Can't wait for... Excuse me, I said, dropping my napkin on the table. I seem to have lost my appetite. Must be all the mushrooms. Or maybe it's the lies. They taste about the same. I walked out of the dining room, past the family photos lining the hallway. Perfect poses hiding perfect lies. Behind me, I could hear Lorraine making excuses to their guests, Jordan's stammered explanations, Harold's dismissive huffs, but it was Dr. Matthews's voice that followed me up the stairs. Didn't know you were married, Jordan. Does Chloe know? In our bedroom, their guest room, I opened my laptop and started typing an email to Chloe Wilson. Subject line, there's something you should know about Jordan Adams. My hands were steady as I attached the photos I'd been collecting. Jordan and me at our wedding, family Christmas cards, our joint bank statements. 3 years of marriage versus 3 months of lies. Downstairs, the front door slammed. Jordan's heavy footsteps on the stairs. I hit send just as he burst into the room. What the hell was that about? He demanded. I closed my laptop and smiled. Just clearing up some misunderstandings. Isn't that what family does? The response from Chloe came at 3 in the morning. Not a reply to my email, but a public social media post. A photo of her and Jordan at some candlelit restaurant, her hand prominently displaying a diamond ring. Caption, he finally asked, can't wait to start our life together. Wine engaged. La, future Mrs. Adams. I stared at my phone until the screen went dark, then bright again with a message from Jordan. We need to talk. The house creaked with midnight settling sounds as I made my way downstairs. Jordan sat at the kitchen island, still in his work clothes, tie loosened like a noose gone slack. You had no right, he said, voice low enough not to wake his parents. Sending those things to Chloe. Funny, I was thinking the same thing about you proposing to her. He ran his hands through his hair. It's complicated. Actually, it's beautifully simple. I pulled up Chloe's post on my phone. You're engaged to another woman while still married to me. That's not complicated. It's criminal. Keep your voice down, he hissed. You're being hysterical. Hysterical? I laughed, the sound sharp enough to cut. You want to see hysterical? I grabbed my phone and started dialing. Jordan lunged across the island, reaching for it. What are you doing? Calling Chloe. She should hear about your complicated situation from her fiancé, don't you think? Don't. Or maybe I should call the police. Bigamy is still illegal in this state. The kitchen light flicked on. Lorraine stood in the doorway, wearing her silk robe like armor. What's going on down here? I turned my phone screen toward her. Congratulations, your son just got engaged, again. Jordan, her perfectly maintained facade cracked just slightly. Mother, I can explain. Oh, this should be good, I said, hopping onto a bar stool. Let's hear how you explain the ring, the proposal, the whole double life. That's enough. Harold appeared behind Lorraine. This is a family matter. Exactly, I smiled. And according to that ring on Chloe's finger, we're about to be one big happy family. Jordan's phone buzzed. Then mine, then Lorraine's. The notifications kept coming. Chloe had tagged us all in her announcement post. The comments were already rolling in. Congratulations mixing with confused questions about who exactly this Jordan Adams was. We need to contain this, Harold said, already reaching for his phone. I'll call Richard at the club, get ahead of... No. Jordan's voice was flat. No more covering up. No more lies. He turned to me. You want the truth? Fine. I love Chloe. I've been trying to find a way to tell you. By proposing to someone else? By moving on. He slammed his hand on the counter. You're so caught up in being the perfect wife, living this perfect life. Perfect. I gestured around us. Living with your parents, enduring your mother's constant criticism, watching you lie to my face day after day. That's your idea of perfect? You're the one who wanted to move in here because you lost your job and couldn't afford our apartment, because you said it would be temporary. The truth burst out of me like shrapnel. Because I believed you when you said you loved me. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Lorraine's phone kept buzzing with notifications. Harold was already typing furiously on his, probably calling in favors to contain the scandal. I think, I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands, it's time we all stopped pretending. I walked to the front door, grabbed my car keys from the hook. Where are you going? Jordan called after me. To meet my future sister-in-law. I turned back one last time. Unless you'd like to tell her yourself? The door closed behind me with a satisfying thud. In my car, I pulled up Chloe's contact information, not her social media this time, but her work address at Wonderworld. My hands weren't shaking anymore as I typed it into my GPS. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. Sometimes it's served with a smile and a wedding planning binder full of receipts. Wonderworld's employee parking lot was empty except for a few cars, including a white Prius with a "Just Engaged" banner across the back window. I parked next to it, hands gripping the steering wheel as I watched Chloe emerge from the staff entrance, still wearing her character costume minus the headpiece. She was younger in person, practically glowing with the kind of happiness I remembered feeling once, the kind that comes before the fall. Chloe Wilson, she turned, smile bright and professional. Yes. Oh, you must be here about the wedding planning position. I just posted that this morning. Not exactly. I held up my left hand, wedding ring catching the security light. I'm Paisley Adams, Jordan's wife. The color drained from her face so quickly I thought she might faint. His, what? Wife, 3 years next month. I pulled out my phone, showing her our wedding photos. Though I suppose that anniversary's canceled now. She backed away, shaking her head. This isn't... He said he was divorced. He showed me the papers. Papers? Something cold settled in my stomach. What papers? Chloe fumbled with her bag, pulling out a manila envelope. Inside were divorce documents dated 6 months ago, with what appeared to be my signature at the bottom. My signature. Forged. He said you agreed to keep it quiet, she whispered, because of his parents' social standing. I laughed, the sound hollow even to my own ears. Of course he did. Did he also tell you about the trust fund he gets access to when he turns 31? The one that requires him to be married? Her eyes widened. What? Let me guess. He proposed right after meeting your mother, Diane Wilson, the family court judge? Chloe sank onto a nearby bench. How did you... Because Jordan doesn't do anything without an angle. I sat beside her, keeping my distance. The trust fund requires marriage to someone from a respectable family. Your mother's position would qualify. But he's already married to you? Not according to these papers. I held up the forged documents. With these, he could marry you, access the trust fund, then claim ignorance when the forgery's discovered. By then, the money would be his. Her engagement ring caught the light as she covered her mouth. Oh God, the prenup he asked me to sign? Let me guess, it had a clause about not contesting any financial decisions? She nodded, tears spilling over. I thought he was being romantic, protecting our future together. He was protecting something all right. I pulled out my own envelope. These are the real documents. Our marriage license, joint accounts, everything proving we're still legally married, including evidence of the forgery. Why are you showing me this? Because you deserve to know the truth and because I need your help. She wiped her eyes, smearing her character makeup. With what? Jordan's not just betraying us, he's committing fraud against his family's trust, against the court with these forged documents, against both of us. But if we work together, we can stop him, her voice hardened, and make him pay. My phone buzzed. A text from Jordan. Where are you? We need to talk about this like adults. Another buzz. Lorraine. Come home immediately. We can fix this if you're reasonable. And another. Harold. Whatever your price is, name it. This ends tonight. I showed the messages to Chloe. They're scrambling. They know what exposure would mean. She stood up, straightening her costume. My mother's hosting a charity gala next week. The Addams family always attends. Perfect timing for a big announcement. Like exposing a fraud in front of the entire social circle they're so desperate to impress? I smiled, feeling the pieces fall into place. Exactly, but first we need to make a stop at the police station. Those forged documents aren't just embarrassing, they're criminal. Chloe grabbed her bag, determination replacing heartbreak. I'll drive. As we left the empty parking lot, my phone buzzed one final time. Jordan. Please don't do anything you'll regret. Too late, I thought. The only thing I regretted was not doing this sooner. Detective Sarah Chen spread the documents across her desk, her expression unreadable as she examined the forged divorce papers. This is thorough, professional work. Like someone who's done it before? I asked, watching her face for any reaction. She tapped her pen against a stack of files. Funny you should ask. We've seen similar forgeries in 3 other cases. All involving trust funds, all with the same precise methodology. Chloe leaned forward. Other cases? All dismissed. Detective Chen's mouth tightened. The victims suddenly became uncooperative. My phone buzzed again, another text from Harold. The family lawyer can sort this out privately. Name your price. They're trying to buy me off, I said, showing Detective Chen the message. Just like the others, I'm guessing. She nodded slowly. The Addams family has considerable influence. These cases tend to disappear. Not this time. Chloe pulled out her own phone, scrolling through messages. Jordan's already trying to gaslight me about the prenup, says I must have misunderstood the terms. A knock at the door made us all jump. Another detective entered holding a thick file. You need to see this, Sarah. More victims just came forward. I recognized the photos he spread out. Young women, all bearing a striking resemblance to Chloe, all engaged to Jordan at different points over the past 5 years, all with mothers or fathers in positions of legal authority. He's done this before, Chloe whispered, her face pale. Multiple times. And his parents covered it up each time, I added, pieces clicking into place. The trust fund wasn't just about money, it was practice. Detective Chen's expression hardened. Practice for what? My phone rang. Jordan's number. I put it on speaker. Paisley, be reasonable. His voice was smooth, practiced. Think about what you're throwing away. We can work this out. Like you worked it out with the others? A pause. What others? The other women you engaged to defraud their families. How many were there, Jordan? How many times did Mommy and Daddy clean up your mess? You're being hysterical. His tone shifted, harder now. Detective Chen can't help you. She's tried before. Chloe gasped. Detective Chen's eyes narrowed. Is that a threat? I asked, my voice steady despite my racing heart. It's a reality check. You have 1 hour to drop the charges and come home. After that? He paused. Well, accidents happen. The line went dead. Detective Chen was already moving. We need to get you both to a safe house. Now. No, I said, an idea forming. The charity gala, it's tomorrow night. Absolutely not, Chen started, but Chloe cut her off. All the victims will be there, she said, catching my meaning. Their families too. The entire social circle that helped cover this up. It's too dangerous, Chen argued. He's escalating. Exactly. I pulled out my invitation, and for once we know exactly where he'll be, with witnesses, with evidence, with everyone who helped him get away with it. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Lorraine. Don't force our hand, dear. Some scandals can't be survived. I showed it to Detective Chen. They're right. Some scandals can't be survived. That's counting on. She studied the message, then looked at the photos of Jordan's previous victims. Finally, she nodded. We'll need backup in place, and you'll both wear wires. One condition, I said, picking up the forged divorce papers. We do this my way. No arrests until everyone sees exactly who they've been protecting. Chloe touched her engagement ring, then slowly slipped it off. Time to give Jordan the proposal he deserves. Outside the police station, thunder rolled across the sky. A storm was coming. Perfect weather for what we had planned. You realize, Detective Chen said as we left, this could backfire spectacularly. I thought of all the women in those photos. Of Chloe. Of myself. That's what they're counting on, but they forgot something important. What's that? Hell hath no fury like women scorned, especially when they work together. The charity gala glittered with false promises and practiced smiles. I adjusted my wire for the 10th time, watching Jordan work the room with Chloe on his arm. Detective Chen's voice crackled in my earpiece. All units in position, wait for my signal. Lorraine intercepted me before I could reach the stage. I warned you about forcing our hand. Her smile never wavered as she gripped my arm. The detective's evidence disappeared an hour ago, along with those other women's statements. My stomach dropped. What did you do? What we always do, dear. Protect the family name. She sipped her champagne. Harold's associates are quite thorough. Across the room, I spotted Chloe's mother, Judge Wilson, in heated conversation with Harold. Money was exchanging hands beneath the napkin. It's over, Paisley, Lorraine continued. Be smart, take the settlement, and disappear. My earpiece crackled again, static this time. The connection was dead. Jordan approached, his practiced smile perfect as ever. Dance with me, not a request. On the dance floor, his grip was steel. I told you they couldn't help you, he whispered, but you just had to push. Like those other women pushed? I kept my voice steady. How many, Jordan? Enough to perfect the technique. He spun me elegantly. Though I admit you've been my favorite challenge. The detective is currently dealing with some unfortunate allegations about evidence tampering. His smile never faltered. Amazing what a judge's signature can do. I saw Chloe watching us, confusion crossing her face. The other victims were here too, scattered throughout the crowd, all with that same lost look. All their evidence gone. All their support vanished. Face it, Jordan said. You've lost. But I'm willing to be generous. Take the money. Start over somewhere else. Or what? Or join the others in questioning your sanity publicly. He nodded toward Judge Wilson. A few signed committal papers can do wonders for keeping people quiet. The music ended. Jordan released me with a flourish, returning to Chloe's side. I watched him kiss her cheek, saw her mother beam with approval. My phone buzzed. Detective Chen. Evidence compromised, investigation suspended. I'm sorry. Another message from Harold. The papers are ready. Sign tonight or face the consequences. I looked around the glittering ballroom, at all the powerful people who'd helped cover Jordan's tracks, at the women he'd victimized, now scattered and silenced, at Chloe, still believing in her perfect fairy tale. My hand brushed the USB drive in my clutch, the one containing every document, every photo, every piece of evidence I'd gathered. The one Jordan didn't know about. The one that could destroy everything. But as I reached for it, doubt crept in. How many lives would I ruin? How many careers would I destroy? And would anyone even believe me now that the official investigation was dead? Lorraine appeared at my elbow, legal papers discreetly folded in her hand. Your choice, dear. Sign now, or we'll handle this our way. I took the papers, feeling the weight of defeat. The USB drive seemed to burn in my clutch, filled with truth that might never see light. Jordan raised his glass, preparing to make his engagement announcement. Chloe beamed beside him, Judge Wilson proudly watching her daughter's moment. My phone buzzed one final time. An unknown number. Don't give up. We believe you. I looked up, scanning the crowd. One by one, Jordan's previous victims met my gaze. Silent, waiting, ready. Well, Lorraine pressed the pen into my hand. What's it going to be? I took the pen, feeling its weight, the weight of truth against power, of justice against influence, of one voice against a chorus of lies. You're right, I said, gripping the pen tighter. It's time to make my choice. The stage microphone stood empty, waiting. Jordan was about to speak. The moment of truth had arrived, and I had to decide. Take the money and run or risk everything on one final, desperate play. The pen hovered over the papers as the room held its breath. I snapped the pen in half, letting the ink stain the settlement papers black. Actually, I have a better idea. The USB drive connected to the gala's presentation system with a soft click. Behind me, Jordan's voice rang out. If I could have everyone's attention? Yes, I said, turning to face the crowd. Let's get everyone's attention. The first photo filled the massive screen. Jordan and his first victim, Sarah Mitchell, at their engagement party 3 years ago. Then the second, Jordan and Rebecca Torres, 6 months later. Then Amanda Chen, each photo accompanied by bank statements, forged documents, proof of payoffs. What is this? Judge Wilson's voice cut through the shocked murmurs. Your daughter's future, I said, advancing to the photos of Jordan and Chloe. Unless we stop it now. Jordan lunged for the laptop, but Sarah Mitchell, now standing beside me, blocked his path. Remember me, Jordan, or did the settlement check help you forget? Security, Harold bellowed, but no one moved. The guards were all women, all wearing familiar expressions of quiet rage. Funny thing about hiring the same security company for every event, I said. These women have seen everything, heard everything, and they're done being silent. Lorraine's perfectly manicured hands shook as she reached for her phone. I'm calling our lawyer. The one who helped forge those divorce papers? Rebecca Torres stepped forward, legal documents in hand. He's already talking to the FBI. Jordan's mask finally cracked. You can't prove anything. It's your word against... Against what? Amanda Chen emerged from the crowd, Detective Chen beside her. Against the evidence we've been gathering for years? Against the testimonies we've been recording? Against the money trails we've been tracking? All those women you silenced? I advanced on Jordan as the screen filled with more photos, more evidence. They never went away. They were waiting, watching, building a case you couldn't bury. Chloe stared at the screen, at the parade of women who looked so much like her. Mom, she turned to Judge Wilson. Did you know? The judge faltered, the weight of her complicity finally showing on her face. She knew, Harold said quietly. They all knew. It was easier to pay than face scandal. Not anymore, Detective Chen's voice carried across the now silent room. Jordan Adams, you're under arrest for fraud, extortion, and criminal conspiracy. As officers moved in, Jordan made one last desperate play. Paisley, please, we can still work this out. I'll give you anything. That's your problem, Jordan. I held up my broken wedding ring. You think everything has a price, but some things, like dignity, justice, truth, those aren't for sale. The officers led Jordan away as Lorraine collapsed into Harold's arms, their carefully constructed world crumbling around them. Judge Wilson stood frozen, her career and reputation dissolving with each damning photo on the screen. Chloe approached me slowly, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Neither did I said softly. But now we both do, and that's worth more than any settlement. The other women gathered around us, a circle of survivors turned warriors. Sarah squeezed my hand. Thank you for finishing what we started. No, I looked at each face, each story, each triumph. Thank you for showing me I wasn't alone. As Jordan disappeared into the police car, the Wonderworld theme song began playing over the speakers, a final, ironic tribute to the happiest place on earth. But this time, the melody didn't hurt. This time, it sounded like freedom. Detective Chen approached with a slight smile. Ready to give your statement? I looked around at the shattered remains of the Addams family's influence, at the women standing tall in their truth, at Chloe wiping away her tears and standing straighter. Yes, I said, stepping forward. I think we all have quite a story to tell. Behind me, the screen displayed one final image. All of us together, united not by victimhood, but by victory. The Addams mansion looked smaller as I packed the last box into my car. 3 months of living here, and all I had to show for it was 2 cardboard boxes and a stack of court documents. Through the window, I could see Lorraine arranging flowers in the kitchen, her daily ritual of maintaining appearances while her world crumbled. Harold's golf club still stood by the door, gathering dust since the country club quietly revoked his membership. Need help with those? I turned to find Chloe on the driveway, looking different in jeans and a simple sweater. No more princess dresses or perfect makeup. Thanks, but I've got it. I closed the trunk. Shouldn't you be at work? Quit Wonderworld, she smiled slightly. Turns out playing pretend isn't really my thing anymore. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. My phone buzzed. Another message from Jordan's lawyer about the divorce proceedings. Delete. The criminal case would handle everything now. Sarah called, Chloe said, referring to Jordan's first victim. She's starting a support group, for all of us. She hesitated. Will you come? I'm not sure I belong there. I didn't lose money like the others. No, you lost something worse. She touched my arm. You lost trust. We all did. Judge Wilson's car pulled up to the curb. Chloe tensed, then straightened her shoulders. That's my ride. Mom's taking me house hunting. Small apartments only this time. Progress. Baby steps. She hugged me quickly. Thank you for stopping me from becoming another story in his collection. As Chloe walked away, Detective Chen's words from the arraignment echoed in my head. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about saving someone else. The front door opened. Lorraine stepped out, perfect posture intact despite everything. I suppose this is goodbye then? Suppose so. She smoothed her already smooth skirt. We did what we thought was best, protecting the family name. Wasn't worth destroying other families. I met her gaze. But you know that now, don't you? Her facade cracked, just slightly. We all pay for our choices, dear. Some of us just pay later than others. Inside, a phone rang. Probably another reporter wanting a statement about Jordan's case. Or another victim coming forward. The Addams family's carefully curated reputation was unraveling thread by thread. One thing I don't understand, Lorraine said as I opened my car door. You could have taken the settlement, started over somewhere else. Why didn't you? I thought about the broken pen, the stained papers, the moment everything changed. Because some debts can't be paid with money. And now? Has justice been served? Justice? I laughed softly. No, this wasn't about justice. It was about truth. The kind that sets you free. As I drove away, my rear-view mirror showed Lorraine still standing there, a perfect statue in front of her perfect house, both of them hollow inside. My phone buzzed again, a message from Detective Chen. Another victim came forward. You were right about Seattle. I deleted that one too. Let someone else carry that torch. My part in this story was done. At the intersection, the traffic light turned red. The Wonderworld theme song played from a passing car, but this time I didn't flinch. Instead, I found myself humming along, thinking about Chloe's support group, about Sarah Mitchell's strength, about all the women who refused to be silenced. The light turned green. In my rearview mirror, the Addams mansion disappeared, taking with it 3 months of lies, a lifetime of pretense, and one broken marriage built on perfect appearances. But something else disappeared too. The weight of revenge, the burden of justice, the need to make everyone pay. In their place was something lighter, something that felt almost like freedom. I turned onto the highway, leaving behind the mansion, the memories, and the melody that started it all. Ahead lay an open road and an unwritten story. This time, I'd write it myself.